Hello and welcome. It's Alexis Little Boy and Kim Eibrink Jansen, and we are chatting today about all things cosmic and universal and magic and amazingness. So thank you, Kim, for joining me.
Thank you for having me, darling.
So just a little background. Kim is this amazing universal goddess. Not even a queen, honey, it's a goddess.
Okay,
and
I'll take that one.
And she is the creator or co-creator with the universe of the universal business, and so much magic and changes and shifts. And she is this amazing facilitator that I have been very blessed to have worked with. And we're just going to pop on in. So tell me a little bit about universal business and what that means in the vision of the world kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, I'm kind of guided to talk a little bit about how it all evolved and so forth, which really it's pretty much how everyone kind of finds their way, is just through adversity. So you go through, hard times, and you kind of work out that things that you're doing in your life just isn't working, and that's where you go seeking for what I call the truth. It's funny that it was probably now about more than 18 months ago. Time is flying. It's amazing. That just one day I decided to listen to the guidance that I was getting. And when I say guidance, it's just thoughts that pop up in my mind. And I had a thought to create something, and I literally just I did it without even having what you would probably traditionally call a sales page or anything like that. I literally had an idea, and I just posted in one of the groups that I'd like to play around in that I had this cool idea. And I literally, from the second go, had 20 people in the first minute go, "I want to do that." And I was like, oh my God, really? So I thought I better set up a sales page. And it took me 3 minutes to whip something together so they could actually sign up on it. And I was like, oh, I got a big shock. And then literally for the next couple of weeks after that, I ended up having 150 people sign up for this idea that just came to me. Then I was booked for 3 months solid. And I was just shocked. I was like, what is this? What is this? And it was kind of fun. The thing is that from the idea, I had no idea what that first session was going to even look like, what I would be doing in them. The best thing about it is that I was guided as to what was going to happen in those sessions. And I ended up getting not only an extra 10 new gifts that I could use with clients, but also these clients could use for themselves, and just all these new processes. And I was just blown away at how amazing that process was. But then again, as it came to the end of those 3 months, I got another idea. It was for a group. And I'm like, okay, this is fun. It actually was an idea from another lady who was in a group who ran she ran her own groups, and she thought, it might be fun for the two of us to do something together. And I said, okay, let's do that. And so I sat down and I wrote out how we could do something together, and literally just before we were meant to meet, she said, my coach said not to do that anymore. And I was really conscious of my behavior and my response to it. And I'm like, I'm going to use this as an opportunity rather than, they don't want me, I'm not good enough, or I didn't go into that, which I probably might have before. But what I did was I kind of went, oh my God, I've got a process here. I'm like, I've already written it up. I'm just going to use it. And again, I had 80 people join that process. Just again, I didn't know how it was going to look. I remember the first time I did it, and it was like, again, and I did that for another kind of, 9 months, doing that process. And again, I was able through that process to connect with so many new beings and new experiences. And sometimes it was a little bit hard because during that process I was doing 80 readings a week. So hard. But I had this inner trusting and knowing that it was all for a reason, and I learned so much going through that. And so from doing all of that, I kind of sat down and went, there's something in this. I thought, this stuff's working. Like, all my things are booking out and it's working. So I sat down and I had to look at the process that I used into creating that. And when I sat down and I worked it out, it actually was really simple. The process was really simple. And what I realized was that we kind of get in our own way of creating things, and we focus so much on the outcome and what it's going to create, what it's, you know, what the intention is behind it and all that sort of thing, rather than just doing it. If the idea sounds good and just doing it.
Yeah.
And so that's where the universal business came from, is I sat down and I put together, again, you know, downloaded a lot of it as well and channeled it, but it was like, how did I do that, or how did we do that? and how do you bring that into some kind of a system? A lot of it, when I looked further into it, was based around the universal laws, which I didn't know I was using. So again, I was able, by the universal business, to be able to put together some kind of a structure. But as you probably know, and everyone else who's done the universal business know, it's probably not so much about business, and it's more about lifestyle change, really, and aligning with yourself, aligning with the universe, and just living your purpose pretty much, and working out what that is. So we have done lots of universal businesses, and by going through those processes, again, is bringing up the awareness that everyone really does know what they're meant to do. It's, again, the things that we've been taught when we were younger, and just the programming and the experiences that we've had and what we've learned from those experiences. We've just taken those on board and I won't say the wrong way, because there's no right or wrong, but just different to how we were meant to. And it's just affected our self-esteem, it's affected our worthiness, our value systems on ourselves. Whereas when, like, I do a lot of interdimensional work and things like that, and when you really look into why these experiences and adversities that come up, they are meant to come up for us to kind of stand up for ourselves and for us to believe in ourselves and to support ourselves. But as children, especially, this is when we learn a lot of our behaviours as children, we don't have those tools to be able to do it. We have, you know, we're taught to listen and to act on what we're taught. And I think as we become adults, we realise that in a way we're living someone else's life.
Yeah.
So that's where universal business has now become a self-study process, because it's now going on to this other level of really coaching people into working out what I call their way, or your way, or the way, as to what is authentic to each person. And you know what? I've worked with a lot of people in this process, in developing a system, like it's a life system that works for them. And can I tell you that not one person's is the same as someone else's?
No.
It is astounding me, the more of this work that I do, that we go to school, or we do a course, or we do a program, and we're taught a way to do it, and then we adopt that as our own. But in actual fact, everyone's got their own unique way, and that's actually the way we're meant to live. And yeah, so you know, this has been, you know, this process over a couple of years of just, you know, working out that in actual fact there is no way other than your own way. And it's actually giving people permission that they're allowed to do what they want to do, and they're allowed to live the way they want to live. There's so much programming, and so it's really great to you know, give tools and advice and processes to be able to work through all that programming, so that really we live this life of freedom and authenticity, but also our purpose, which then you can feel the energy just flows on, that things then end up working. And, you know, this is where I think the world's so crazy, that, you know, we have these governments and these systems, and ways of running countries and people and schools. And the thing is that what's happened is that they keep repeating the same processes generation after generation, of processes that don't work. And so really what this, universal way, the way, your way, whatever way comes along, is using processes that work and looking at how, as a collective, as you said, like working as a collective, how can we create a way that has proven results of things working. Now, we already know that wars don't work. We already know that fighting doesn't work. We already know a lot of things, but no one's actually prepared to do anything.
It's like, oh, we've been doing this for thousands of years. Let's just continue the cycle. But you can, and I know that we've talked about this a little bit, the cycles are changing. Cycles are finishing. The old paradigm is shifting, and we're moving into this new. It's not even new. It's new for us because we haven't been here before, or have we?
Well,
in this particular reality at this time, we haven't yet shifted into the new energy that's coming in. And what's your take on what's happening? Because I know there's a fair bit happening. Like I heard the other day there was earthquakes in Italy. Like that's just wow. What's happening there?
Yeah, well, in actual fact, we all forget that the earth is a body, like we're a body, and that there are shifts and changes. And, again, it's this whole, what I call human side of us that puts labels on situations. And so we've put a label on the fact that an earthquake is bad because, again, then we've put a label on the fact that death is bad.
Yeah.
And then we put label on, human nature is that we actually thrive on drama.
Yes.
And again, just shifting all these paradigms into, what life is really all about. A lot of the times we thrive on the drama because what does it do? It actually gets our heart racing. It gets us all, it creates that level of fight or flight, which also stress creates, and so our bodies aren't designed to handle as much of that drama, fight or flight as it's meant to. And this is where we're seeing a lot of illnesses and a lot of things. But really what they say is that the planet is just an external reflection of the internal, so what's happening within everyone around the world at the moment. Now, as you said, things are changing and people are even, shifting from that 3D to the 5D. People are going through a lot of physical upheavals, a lot of physical shifts, and really the earth is just mirroring the shifts. Yeah. But this is where as time goes on and we start to become more peaceful within ourselves, and really, again, trusting our processes and living the way we want to live, that's where the earth will start to settle down, and things will start to again work. But it is also that process around the fact that death is a bad thing. And if we really look into, going into dimensionally, if we look at what happens when we leave this planet and what we do, most people, as soon as they leave here, are like having a party. They're like, I don't even know why I tried to stay on this earth. Because number one, apparently people choose earth as one of the biggest experiences to learn and evolve quicker because it's harder here. So as soon as they leave here, they're like, party, this is easy. This is, earth is hard work. And so while we're on earth, the thing that we're meant to experience on earth is adversity. Now, part of that adversity is experiencing the loss of having someone pass away. So this is where the fear has come up, is that there's fear and sadness and grief around loss. So that's where death has been given this label of it being bad because of what they say, the people who are left behind. But what we forget is that, those people are actually off having a great party and they're really happy to be on that journey. It's like a rebirth for them, chance for, to try new, to cleanse, to do that sort of thing. The thing is that the people who are left are then experiencing the loss and the adversity because they're actually still on earth.
Yeah. And they're like, I'm still here. Hello.
As soon as you'll find though, as soon as we shift into a new level of consciousness and we understand that death isn't actually as bad as what it is, and when we do understand that not only can we telepathically talk to each other on this planet, but that we can telepathically talk to the people who have left, it's like there is no loss.
Because they're still, you can still contact them. They're still, yeah.
And, as we shift higher and higher in different consciousness and as this, we shift into a different, higher dimensional energy, there won't be that experience of loss anymore. And so it's going to just, if you think about, the whole ISIS thing and the terror, think about even the word terrorism, it creates fear. And so a lot of the world is stuck in fear. Whereas, if they could maybe, connect to that part of themselves that knows the truth and the fact that there is no death and there is no end and that there is not even this terror, then you'll actually find that this whole terrorism, what you want to call theme, experience that we're having will actually die off because there's no power behind it anymore.
It's interesting because I'm thinking, what is the purpose behind all of that? Because for me, like, as you've talked about the adversity, there is growth that comes with that because we're learning through that and we're growing through that. Is there going to come a time that's we're not going to need that for our growth, and there'll be other like
purposes,
themes or purposes that'll actually come up and help us to express it and learn and grow and reach higher realms that that we're obviously aiming for. Excuse me. But it's just interesting to think about, like, the whole fear agenda that is totally permeated throughout the entire world. It served a purpose. There is a purpose with it. And even though we could go, oh, fear, it's bad, it's wrong, you're not putting those labels on it and go, well, actually, what is the message behind it? What is it helping us to do? And instead of fear, well, we can come together and create and the community and things that actually go, well, fear doesn't actually need to exist, but there has to be balance as well. So for the time being, it exists for a reason, and just moving beyond that to me sounds like utopia.
Well, in actual fact, the thing that everyone forgets in all of this is that we always have a choice. We always have a choice. It's just that people think that this is the way that we've always done it, so we just have to keep doing it that way. I would love it if everyone just decided to then choose the other way.
Yeah.
And actually experience the process of having choice. And again, when you embrace the fact that you always have a choice and you step into the fears and try a new way, I feel like that, well, I know from the universal laws that you'll be given more choices to be able then to learn and to grow. But I've done a lot of work on the whole the process around adversity and the purpose of it. And a lot of people say, oh, I really want to find out what my purpose is, and it's like, well, actually our purpose here is to experience adversity, to grow and to learn, and that's where, if we can simply just get rid of the fact that it is bad and bring up the fact that it's an opportunity to learn more, then again it'll lose its heaviness, and we can actually move through it a lot quicker and learn a lot quicker, have an amazing new awareness around it all. We could even get excited when something bad happens, because they know that we're not going to be the same on the other side. But then going one step further, I've had a lot of experiences about going to a different realm where there is no adversity, and where you can experience that total, as you say, that utopia. And it's funny when you're there, it's amazing. And a lot of people have that experience when they have those near-death experiences, and then they bring back that energy that they have when they go there. But, when I had that experience, I then had a different experience where I could feel I'll call it another experience. I could feel the experience of coming back onto the planet, but still having the mindset of not having adversity, because I was still in that utopia mindset. and connecting with my body here on the planet, my body went into shock. And I was so interested in that process around, why am I freaking out about not having any worries? And as I connected and had my chat with the universe and things like that, I was being told again that our purpose here is to have adversity. So when it's taken away and you're left with this utopian, feeling, energy, experience, whatever you want to call it, your body doesn't know what to do, because its whole purpose here is to make it hard for you.
Yeah.
So that's where I said, well, you know what, I can kind of see that where we're heading to is to an experience where we can be on earth but not have the adversity be the purpose. So I asked, what can we do then to shift our purpose from having to have adversity to grow and to evolve? What can we shift it to so that we can create a new purpose? So that's not the reason why we're here, and that we don't have to go through it. Not that it's bad or anything, but we've got the element of choice. So what can we choose to have? And I was shown that experience that we do have again when we go to the other realms. And it is an amazing process when you get to play on other planets and different dimensions and things like that, because you can bring different awarenesses from those experiences and make them real here. And again, that shifts that energy of Earth being such a heavy vibration. And again, when we do something within ourselves, it shifts the external. And so even just by us having those experiences makes a difference on the planet. And the more people who have those experiences then get to, again, change the world just by being themselves. This is where connecting to all those different experiences and almost conversing with the energies that don't come back down. The ones who live up there, all the guides and the archangels and, God and Jesus and all our beautiful friends, ascended masters. If you look at what their purpose is to teach and to guide, but never to tell.
No. It's like, could you just give it to me? No. Why? No.
Yeah.
It's sometimes they're a bit hard to get anything out of, actually.
And it's not until after you've had your experience that you realise and you say, why didn't you just tell me that? They're like, you needed to experience it so you know what that feels like. Now then what happens when we experience it and we can feel it, I don't know if this happens to anyone else, but it happens to me all the time. I then attract 10 other clients who have had that exact thing of where they're stuck.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, okay. So then what I say is that, well, what I did was this, but let's find out what your way is. Let's work out a way that resonates with you, that's aligned with you, because again, we're all different in our processes and even our levels of consciousness. So it's like, so let's just find out the best way for you to deal with this so that you can move through it quicker. But again, they then need to experience it and then they can help other people. And it's just that process. And so looking into really what our purpose is then is that we're just teachers and guides rather than, being these beings on the planet that have to get stuck, So again, if we can just use the adversity simply as a process, and I find, the whole saying, what you resist persists, right? So I always say, I welcome adversity, bring it on, and people go, oh my God, isn't that bringing it to you? But in actual fact, it doesn't happen to me as much anymore. And again, it just goes along that saying, is that what you resist persists. So if you embrace adversity and see it as an opportunity, you then find you have less of it. But again, when it happens, you can deal with it a lot easier. And then it just shocks me that how many people then, like when we go through our own stuff, how many people are just just behind where I am in the experience. And so I can share what I did. And to be honest, it always resonates with them. It always helps them. But it's not telling them what to do, because they need to feel the feeling. They need to know what that feels like, and to again have that earthly experience, because that's why they've chosen to come down here. So
and shifting your perception too, because when you do have that awareness that adversity is just a teaching tool, really, then you can shift into that, okay, well, this thing's happened, it feels kind of crappy. What, A, do I need to learn from it? B, how can I move through this? Or, you know, even sitting in it. Sometimes, like a lot of people are like, oh, you don't want to sit in your negative energies, or you sit in your negative emotions on it. But sometimes sitting in it, you can actually learn a lot more than if you just move straight through it. Because if you're moving straight through, you're just trying to push to the next thing, but you're not actually experiencing along the way, are you?
You're not. And also, I mean, and as you probably know too, that depends on what the plan is. You know, there is this plan, there is this, you know, this thing. And so what happens is that sometimes maybe, yeah, we were meant to move through that and go through it quickly, and that's fine. But then sometimes there are the other parts that we do need to stay in a little bit longer. So many people on the planet now have this money issue that they're like, I'm done with the money issue. And it's like, think about how much you've learnt. So you might have one issue, but you might have learnt 10 new things. So the bigger the issue, the longer you sit in it, the more you learn. It just is what it is. But then, you know, there might be experiences where there's only one thing to learn, and so you get it and you move through it. So this is why things do stay there, patterns stay there, all that sort of thing, is that there is still more to know about that. And you know what, like I even find doing all my processes and my programs and courses and everything else, I do them from a place of learning more about that.
Because it's almost like you're peeling more layers away, and you're always learning something new about yourself in going through that process again.
I just happen to take a couple of extra people with me.
It's more fun with company.
Oh my God. And I'm so one that just I love people. I love energy. And it just goes to show that that's where I tend to operate a lot more, from working in groups, because the more the merrier. Like I just love the energy of lots of people, whereas some people it's too much. So again, that's just their experience. But for me, it's like the more people that are there, the more that we can all learn and grow, and the more fun we can have.
Also the ripple effect too, because the more people that you touch with your message and getting them to get in touch with their own messages, it's like they can reach more people and more people and more people.
See, that's the added advantage. I just love it. I just love it. And, you know, I now, you know, a lot of my groups now I'm running at 4:00 in the morning my time. And look at me. You know, it's fun. I've never woken up and gone, oh, I don't want to do this. Or I've never gone to bed the night before and gone, I've got to wake up early. I'm like, oh my God, I get to see everyone.
And that would also be like, for me, watching you, and I know for other people, the key has been joy and having fun with it and bringing that play into it. Because if you don't have play, it's all very serious. And serious for me is very, very kind of heavy energy. And it's like not for everybody, obviously, but yeah, bringing in the joy and the fun, it just makes it more.
Again, it was a concept that people thought they needed to create to look a certain way or be a certain way. But I said to someone the other day, I said, you know, I still feel like I'm a 15-year-old, even though I'm 44 in a month. and it's like, I'm actually going to stay this age, and I'm going to even change, like using everything I'm learning and knowing about the unlimited universe. And oh my God, there's so much to embrace and so much to learn. And I think when you're on this universal journey, there is no end to the learning, and it's so exciting. Like every day you learn something new, and it's like, oh my God, there's more. It's like so fun. And I just, you know, that's the next step, is saying, okay, well, if I'm feeling like I'm 15 inside, and I even act like I'm 15, which I do, then I do believe that we can change our external. maybe that's what this thing is on my eye. It's starting to change things. Changing the fact that we believe that we get older. Changing the fact that we have to. In all the work that I've done, apparently our bodies can live for thousands and thousands of years. And I'm like, you know what? I'm actually pretty excited about this journey, and I'm in no hurry to leave it. If I'm going to be here for a couple of thousands of years and I can learn something new every day, then I'm pretty excited.
Beautiful. Okay, universe, let's have some more of that information to help this body to, keep my vessel the way that it needs to be, or, maybe fine-tune.
Well, again, the thing that's just coming through now when we say that is it's all about that. It's that self-love, but there's also that universal love, and oh God, if you think about what love means on the planet, is nowhere near as close to the universal love that is so powerful. The closest way that you can even connect to what that feels like is when you connect with, and I'm not religious, but when you have actually sit next to Jesus. The power behind that love is incredible, and to have those experiences just helps you to connect to whatever level of love there is inside of you, and then to share that as well. But just, again, it's all about experiences. And when you look at the universe and what is out there at different dimensions and parallel universes, and oh my God, are we in for a journey or what?
It's all about choices too, because you can choose to see the endless possibilities, or you can choose not to. And either way is right, or, perfect for that person. But isn't it more fun? Like, I find it's much more magical to just think about all the endless possibilities, because then I know that I can shift from where I am to somewhere else, because there's so many choices, there's so much available, and there is no kind of one way or another. Like, that's very narrow-minded, or, not even narrow-minded, but very narrow. But then when you go endless, you go, well, what can I play with today? Like, what else is there today?
But it's like a buffet, right? If you gave someone a buffet, again, they could get confused with that. And I love that you said, what can I do today, or what can I connect with today, what can I do today? Is actually going within and just having that solid grounding of, yes, whatever I have within me is where I am, and then saying, well, what is my choice today? Because a lot of the times, people would get lost with the buffet of choices. And, sometimes they'll say, well, I don't have a choice. But then even just the simple choice of, waking up and getting out of bed in the morning, some people don't have that. Getting in a car and driving. Well, I saw a thing on TV the other day. There was a lady who had to get the bus. Everything we do is a choice, and I think we all forget that. And I think once we can embrace that, yes, there is an unlimited amount of choices, but also just knowing that everything that we do is a choice, and just being aware of that. And as long as those choices enhance our experience, and know that we are facilitating this level of unlimited choices, that the choice that we make is not limited to what we believe we have these limits to. And usually fear is a driver to people making choices. I think as we step into the choice of fear, or the fear of choice, as we were saying before, when you step into it, it's actually not as bad as you think it is. And again, that's just an experience that once you start to do that, you start to know that, at first it kind of, and you get a system even on fear, it feels really uncomfortable beforehand. You learn some processes to deal with it. And then when you're in it, you're kind of like, oh, this is still feeling uncomfortable, and I'm really not sure, and I don't know what the end looks like. And then when you get to the other side, you look back and you go, that was nothing.
Exactly. There's something I wanted to go back to was, one thing was Isis that was mentioned. When I first heard of that, I actually immediately thought of the Egyptian goddess Isis, because everything that she stands for is the total opposite of what the Western society has created out of this whole terrorism thing. And then I was thinking about it, a lot of the age, going back to the age, and it's Western society predominantly that has this whole culture about, you know, the ageism and the aging and the beauty and you know, staying young or being a particular way. And if you look at other philosophies and other ways of being in this amazing world, there are other cultures that actually embrace the aging process, that actually embrace, you know, in some, like the Celtic tradition, you've got the maiden, the mother, and the crone. There's actually another stage after crone, but it's really like they're honouring and respecting these different cycles of life. And that's what I think a lot of Western society has actually forgotten, is that we do have these cycles, and this is, you know, part of life, and that to get stuck in one narrow little point in time, it's not realistic. And that's why there's so many, you know, women starting to come out where they're not accepting like beauty has to look a certain way or the body has to look a certain way anymore. And I just find it really fascinating with the whole universal thing. Like, you have this universal concept, and then you come back and the world has just got all these amazing different cultures and traditions. Yeah. But the Western society that we are currently part of is so focused on the lack and the negativity and the warmongering, and it's really fascinating to then go into this universal expansive view and go, well, that's actually tiny little bit of what the world is. It's not the whole world. Yeah. So what do you think?
Well, it's all around, you know, I talk a lot about vehicles and what vehicles we choose to drive when we come to Earth. And what I mean by vehicles is what does our, you know, adversity look like? Like as you said, you know, there are some people who are stuck in the, you know, age thing, and that is the vehicle that they've chosen to learn self-love. Again, you might think, well, there's also the money thing. Everyone gets stuck in the money, but when you look at the money, it's actually never got anything to do with the money. The money is just the vehicle to then show you that you need self-love.
Funny, it's coming up.
The other vehicle is maybe, you know, being the victim or abuse, or even, gosh, you know, even the process of murder and all that. There are different vehicles and different experiences. And then we talk about death, you know. At the end of the day, all of them are showing us that we just need to come back to ourselves.
Yep.
And so whatever the experience is that we go through and whatever the vehicles are that we choose, they are how we share the message. So you think about the people, and the message is the same message. It's just through different vehicles because people go through different things. And so if you think about those who are sharing the, you know, embrace the age and embrace your body as it is, they had to go through the other to then make a choice that didn't work.
Yeah.
And so now they're saying, well, actually, if I embrace my body as it is and I embrace my age, then that seems to be working for me. So I'm going to then start sharing that. And that's exactly what we were talking about before, is our purpose for being here. Going through adversity, learning how to get through it, and sharing it with others. So all of that, everything that we go through, and even the whole terrorism stuff, like everything is a vehicle. Like that terrorism there is a vehicle to bring up fear in us. Now, again, when we have a choice, we can choose to be fearful of it, or we can choose just to simply see it as an opportunity for us to go within and see where we're mirroring this anger, where we're mirroring this frustration, or even this lack, you know. All of these experiences are happening from their own experience of adversity. But then these people have chosen to dig deeper into the adversity and cause more adversity for themselves because they think, or they've been told, that that's the way to go. There, again, whether they've worked it out or not, I'm not sure, but again, it doesn't work. So if they went within and they really listened to themselves and worked out that isn't aligned with who they are, then they'll connect with maybe another way which suits them, whether they work it out themselves or whether they then, you know, are guided by someone who can bring out in them what is authentic for them. And really, you know, all of that is just all around people being lost and not even knowing who they are. It's all about self-love, worth. I call self-management.
The whole kit and caboodle.
I mean, everyone's adversity is there to bring us back to self-management and self-awareness and self-love. And once we adopt all of those and stop looking outside of ourselves for the answers, that's where the planet will really start to align with this higher level of consciousness. But until that time, I mean, even I do believe that the planet itself as a planet, like as the body of the planet and the earth, will mirror exactly what we have within. So even the planet itself will heal because, you know, us as bodies, we heal. It will then do that. It can do that when we then decide to heal within.
Exactly.
So, and it's all fun. It's all fun.
Lots of fun.
Yeah.
Hi, darling. Well, thank you so much for chatting to me. That was...
What did I say?
It's like, oh, it's gone again.
No, it's always fun to chat with you, my darling.
Well, thank you so much. And thanks, everybody, for watching. And I was Alexis Littleroy. I am Alexis Littleroy. Was and am. And I was speaking with the lovely Eibrink Jansen. So thanks for watching.